I'm so frustrated, like beyond frustrated. I'm so frustrated with the entrepreneurs that I've taken to the finish line and got them more for their business than they ever thought possible. I'm talking real dollars from somebody that wanted to buy their business, hand them a bag of cash that was exceeded their expectation, but because they lacked clarity, because they lacked confidence, they ultimately turned that deal down to the tune of multiple tens of millions of dollars. And they also didn't understand the time value of money and how much money they were actually saying no to. And I'm looking at them going, like, what did you get into business for in the first place? Like, isn't this what you wanted? Like, don't we all have this ideology when we get into business about like scaling and selling our business? And you heard the selling off into the sunset. Like, man, it's just, and at some point I have a lot of empathy because I was the same way. Like, I lacked clarity and I didn't know like who I was without my business. So much of my identity was wrapped up in my business that I didn't know who I was going to be on Tuesday if I sold my business on Monday. And that's kind of scary because we were who we were long before we had our business. It's not like we needed our business to become who we were. Our business became a reflection of who we are. And actually, our business, the success of it is kind of a mirror image of like our thoughts, our habits, our disciplines, our network, etc. And so, I remember as I was actually driving down this very road, headed home, and I'm just like, I didn't want to go home. I felt alone at the business, and I felt even more alone at home because I had to walk in and face my wife. And how was your day? Like, do you really want to know? Like, it was terrible. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, money's coming in, but like pieces of me are going out the door. Like, every time a dollar comes in, I feel like I'm selling my soul. And then I'd come home and I've had small children that wanted to play, and I was exhausted. Like, and then I look in the mirror and I didn't even recognize myself. The physical weight that I put on, like physical weight, I'd broken 200 pounds for the first time in my life. And I'm like, what am I doing? I did this to be the opposite. I did this to have time to work out and to be present for my family and to be clear and to enjoy my time off. And now I'm sitting here and my children, like, they sound like Charlie Brown's teacher going, wah, 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 because I'm physically present, but I'm emotionally depleted and bankrupt. And then I open up my bank account and I feel like I'm moments away from true bankruptcy. And then I started going to groups and masterminds and meetups and all sorts of stuff. Like, so desperately seeking a way to get out of this thing that I created. It's one thing to be a victim and say, you know what, that's their fault and that's the government's fault, or, but like, nobody said, hey, start a business. Like, that's a great idea. I said, I'm going to start a business. I'm not going to work so hard my whole life for somebody else only to, retire at 50 or 60. No, I'm smarter than that. Well, I certainly could have fooled myself because I felt so stupid as I sat there in those lonely nights looking at bills and going, how am I going to do this? And why did I even do this in the first place? And the thought of like selling my business was a foregone conclusion. Like, getting into business was hard. Staying in business was even harder. And the thought of selling my business was merely impossible. Simply impossible. That was until I unlocked the secret. And I didn't do it alone. And that's the thing, is entrepreneurs keep trying to do it alone and they won't. Like, it's impossible. Nothing that you see that you admire, that has been built, that is big as far as a business is concerned, was built alone or without having some sort of blueprint, access, knowledge. And so I went on a mission because I know that when I unlocked this with the help of the right mentorship and the right blueprint, like, it was a debt that I could never repay, but I promised to always pay forward. Like I said, for the rest of my life, I'm 44 years old, and I've been an entrepreneur for 24 years. I am on a mission. And if I only help one person avoid the pain that I felt and collapse time on how long it took me to get out of that pit, that darkness, then like, job well done. But since then, I've helped hundreds. In fact, just the last 12 months, 102 entrepreneurs have come to the doors of the Next 90, and we've helped them uncover tremendous amounts of value. The last quarter alone, $71 million of hidden value inside the businesses of the entrepreneurs that we worked with. And we're talking, maybe it was 15. So you do the math. That's multiple millions per person that took the time and invested the energy to come and learn and get what I call exitcation, to be educated on how exits work and who's in the marketplace, how to package and position themselves appropriately to actually achieve the exit they want. And it's simple, yet it's not easy, right? It's simple. What does that mean? Well, there's 3 steps that we have to the exit process. The first step is the EQ. This is your emotional quotient, like your willingness to actually be vulnerable enough to say, I don't know what I don't know, and I want to learn. And also an awareness that there's a whole chasm of what you don't know, that actually is the gap that we need to attack. It also has to do with your clarity on what do you want and why does it matter? Because my level of success is different than your level of success, and is different than your parents' ideology of their level of success for you. So what is it that you want? Why does it matter? So that's the EQ side. The second component is the BQ. Like, this is fairly easy. This is blocking and tackling. This is, the 8 value drivers that actually make a business extremely equitable. And you're like, 8 value drivers? Geez, I thought it was just revenue and net profit times my multiple. Well, that's a component. But like your financial performance, your Switzerland structure, recurring revenue components, revenue concentration, like these are all things that matter when someone's going to go buy your business. And if you're missing that EQ around like actually wanting to fix it, then the BQ doesn't even matter. But once we fix the EQ, we can go to work together on the BQ and get your business to a place where it's transferable and it's highly equitable. And then the last component is the DQ, the deal quotient. How do deals work? Like, how does it work? Does someone write me a check, one of those big giant checks, and I run into the bank with it? Is it wired into my account? Like, do I drop the keys and walk away and give them all my security codes? Like, how does that work? And then what do I do about my taxes? I don't want to pay taxes, or at least I don't want to pay, everything in taxes. And so figuring out how to mitigate the tax liability and maximize your actual profitability. But then now you got this pool of money. What do you do with that? Where do wealthy people put their money? Who goes to work on their money? Like, that's an important factor as well. And then how do you make your money grow? Because like, done right, you never have to work a day in your life, and your kids, or whoever you want to impact, never have to worry about money. Like, that's why we did this in the first place. And so these 3 components, when we triangulate this, it becomes like a triangle offense that allows you to move so fast and fluidly in the marketplace. This is why the entrepreneurs that are working with us are getting offers that exceed their expectation by 10, 20, even 30 plus million dollars. In fact, just yesterday, we showed an entrepreneur how not even driving their revenue, not even driving their net profit, they could go from a $47 million valuation to a $104 million valuation, and we can do that in 12 to 24 months. So was it worth their time and money to come invest into learning this process? Yeah, it was. But we actually give a lot of this information away for free, because we actually want to see like who has the EQ, the baseline of this entire process, to raise their hand and say, you know what, I'm ready, Nick. Like, I'm done. Like, I cannot go home one more day and face the man or the woman in the mirror and know that, like, I'm leaving it all on the table, but yet I feel like I'm buried underneath it. My gosh, There's nothing worse than having a business that looks successful, but you feel like a fraud. And I've done that many, many times over, but not anymore. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let any entrepreneur do the same. So if this message is resonating with you, if this is something that you feel like, man, like, is this guy reading my journal? Is this guy reading my thoughts? Like, yeah, I am, because I've been you. And I wish there was a me when I was having those thoughts that could help me navigate through this. And eventually I found the right process, the right people, and the right places to put myself into to escape that very pain. And now that I know, I'll never go back. And I'll always stand in the forefront to make sure that we can pull you out of that dark place. So we'd love to have a conversation with you. I'd love you to access our free training video, and I'd love to see if this aligns and if we can help you collapse time and maximize your exit and actually achieve your dream. So if it is resonating with you, like, watch the video and let's have a phone call. If it's not, that means you must be kicking ass and taking names and getting everything you want out of your life and your business. And to that, I say congratulations. Or maybe you're just that person that's too stubborn to raise their hand. And to you, my heart breaks, because you're the one that needs it the most. So your options are to just go your way, and hopefully this video was entertaining, or to take some action and have a conversation. You took action to get into your business. You take action to stay in your business. Why wouldn't you take some action to finally get out of your business and achieve that life-changing exit? I hope to see you on the other side.